This is me, crying right there. You know, I'm saluting the flag, but I guess I never really fit in America. So I took a different path, and I ended up doing ceramics at Alfred University and making pots. And pots are fun, and I started learning about form and about objects and about how you could use surface as another way of, expression of yourself. But then one day my teacher said, "Joey, you're going to China." And I said, "What?" And he said, "No, go to China." So called my mother. I said, "Mom, I need a ticket." And she actually gave it to me, and I went the next month. And I went and saw this. From going to see a pot to see this, I saw how clay could do many different things. And I was amazed at this. I loved this. But to access this, I had to learn the language. And so I had to base that on something I knew. So in Chinese, these characters are "how are you?" Basically, it's "how are you?" but in different way. So I was looking at the way you think of things, the way you hear things, and then putting that together into my own language and trying to get access into that culture. And here's an example.
你
That's hello in Chinese. And I just, it was like, "ni hao," putting these things together, and they started working. So I ended up going to Jingdezhen and making ceramics. And Jingdezhen was this amazing place. It was like Willy Wonka. The streets were made of clay. The houses were made of clay. The people had like clay on their bodies. They were just like me. And the shops there, they had shops full of blue glazes, red glazes, shops that sold brushes that made flowers, brushes that painted mountains. And I was just completely amazed. I mean, it really was scrumdiddlyumptious. I started making pots. And I based these pots off of things that I kind of already knew, like my favorite pair of boxers and my favorite buttons. I had a lot of fun. And then I was like, well, I love airplane manuals, so why don't I paint airplane manuals on pots? Because that's fun too, and it's dealing with function too. I mean, they're both function, they're both of use. And then I realized that China can do other things, that there's something bigger out there. And so I put things together, and I started doing this installation work, where I took all these pots that I could find and put them together into something new. This is 3 meters tall. It developed into this new language. I took this pot that I found in the market, and I said, well, why not take 20? Why not take 30? Why not take 1,000? Why not take 2,000? And so I did that. And I changed this perception of the Chinese people of looking at an object and seeing that, okay, this is an object made for soy sauce, made for vinegar. And I was like, well, you can put that into art, and you can think of it in another way. So then I went to 10 meters and did something even taller. And I was like, wow, it's amazing what you can do in China. And I went from a pot, then to this, and then I said, well, if I can do ceramics, maybe I can do other materials. So then I went to ice. And this is actually a project that I did with Greenpeace, where I took water from 3 different rivers in China, made these ice sculptures about children, about global warming, and about how the future in China, these children, their future is melting away. And I spent 2 months doing this, inside a freezer in 90-degree heat, waking up every morning, putting on my long johns, and then walking out, and I was like, wow, I'm a weirdo. But I'd walk into this freezer, and I'd sculpt away. And, finally, they would melt. And it only took 5 hours. Wow, I was actually a lot of stress gone. No more work. And I felt like, I can make this change. I can explain to people that through art, you can deal with topics that are global, that are local, that are in all sorts of life. And so I think China is kind of like this Chinese puzzle called the Qiqiaoban. And within this Qiqiaoban, there's 7 pieces. And within those 7 pieces, there's actually 6 million configurations. And China has limits. China has these boundaries. But within those boundaries, there's so many possibilities. And I love that. And that's why I say, and this making and this creating is what fuels my passion. Thank you.
IBM has underwritten the filming of the TED Fellows Talks. Each fellow talks for 4 minutes about the work that they do or an idea worth spreading. And because of IBM, they now have the opportunity to be considered for TED.com.
IBM is all about innovation, not just the innovation we do within the company, but the innovation we work with other people and organizations to do. TED Fellows really encourages that, encourages people to take their ideas and actually execute on it. And that's a great marriage to be able to drive the next wave of change and advancement.
At TED Global we have a demonstration called Edison, which is about the smart and intelligent generation of energy. The future of how energy would be produced and consumed by sources such as conventional power generation plants, solar energy, renewable sources of energy, wind, and new consumers of energy such as electric cars.
Solving the key problems that affect society today require a different way of thinking and a different way of coming up with solutions. IBM's initiative around Smarter Planet is looking at the biggest problems we have: water, infrastructure, medicine, etc. And TED is providing a venue to get all the thinkers of the world together, and working with IBM, I think we can bring both communities together to really reach that global forum.